Coos County Board of Commissioners meeting for August 1st. It's about a little after 9:30. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance and the moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Okay, first item on the agenda, 2A, request approval contract with Elise Deers, BOC Oregon Coast Mind and Body LLC. Michael.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Mike.
This is a contract with Elise Deers. She used to work for us. She is a dual certified nurse practitioner, physical health and behavioral health. And this will help us with the clients that are at our CCRC.
Okay.
I move to approve and sign the contract with Elise Deers, DBA Oregon Coast Mind and Body LLC.
Okay, discussion on the board. Hearing none, discussion by the audience. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, item 2B, request approval of 8th Amendment to IGA 173131, and authorize Mike to sign.
This contract is actually our main funding that we get from the state. It is for 6 months at this time until the state figures out the rest of the funding that they're going to do. So this is only through December, from July through December right now.
Move to approve the 8th Amendment to the Intergovernmental Agreement 173131 with Oregon Health Authority and authorize Department Head Mike Rowley to docu-sign.
Second. Okay. Discussion on the board. Discussion with the audience. All in favor?
Aye.
2C, request approval of workforce geotechnical design and construction observation services for all environmental emergency relief road failure project.
Good morning.
Good morning, Paul.
So this is for one of our road failures we experienced last winter. As part of the emergency relief funds coming from the feds through ODOT. So we want to get an engineer on board to have them do an evaluation and come up with an emergency repair for, there's actually 2 on the agenda today. This is the first of 2.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Strata Design was one of 3 firms that we contacted. One did not respond, they were unable to quote. And then the other one was quite a bit higher for this particular project. So they were low.
Motion.
By the board. Move to approve for Strata Design to provide geotechnical design and construction observation services on our Olive Harbor Emergency Relief Road Failure Project, not to exceed $39,888, and authorize chair to sign.
Okay. Discussion with the board. Discussion with the audience.
Big difference on those quotes.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll see on the next one, it's a lot closer.
All righty. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 2D, request approval for local for geotechnical design construction for Fairview Sumner Emergency Relief Road Failure.
So this project is actually very similar in a lot of ways to the Olive Harbor site. The main difference being Olive Harbor's a paved road, this is gravel road. So you'll notice that Strata Design's price is exactly the same. Again, contacted the same 3 firms. PBS was able to quote at that time. Shannon and Wilson was just a hair over 10,000.
Okay, motion.
I move approval. I move to approve for Strata Design. Approval for Strata Design to provide geotechnical design, construction observation services on the Fairview Sumner Emergency Relief Road Project, failure project, not to exceed $39,888. $880 and 2 authorizing chair to sign.
Second.
Discussion with the board? Discussion with the audience? Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, next item, 2E, request approval of purchase used screen plant. Road.
So we have looked into both used and new screen plants for upgrading our screening operation up in our rock pit. This was the only good used one we could find. We had a mechanic and our operator of the rock crushing operation go up and actually inspect it in person. It's in good shape. And so we'd like to get approval to purchase this. This was also in our budget for the year.
Okay, motion?
I move we approve purchase of a used rock screening plant from Aggregate Resource not to exceed $85,000.
Second. Okay, discussion with the board? Discussion with the audience? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to 2F, request approval to purchase new equipment trailer.
We need a new equipment trailer to haul our skid steer and its attachments around. We had went out to multiple suppliers or vendors, and this was the only one that actually builds the type and size of trailer that we needed. So it's somewhat sole source. We did contact other companies. They either recommended this company or they just don't make one. So requesting approval to buy this 26-foot Diamond C equipment trailer from BOC Enterprises for $19,000.
Move to approve purchase of the new 26-foot Diamond C equipment trailer from B&B Enterprises not to exceed $19,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Discussion with the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Ricky, 2G, request approval to purchase a crack ceiling. No jokes.
So this item was in our budget for this year. We contacted 3 vendors. We did receive 3 quotes. Craftco was the low responding company. They were just under 76,000, so we're asking approval to purchase with a not to exceed of 76,000.
I move we approve purchase of a new crack sealer from Craftco Incorporated not to exceed $76,000.
Okay,
Second.
discussion?
Did we figure out what the Sourcewell contract is? Did we find that contract?
For the crack sealer,
What is Sourcewell?
Sourcewell is basically the state does all the negotiations on contracts ahead of time. And so if you can find somebody who's on the Sourcewell contract, the pricing's already been negotiated. So we're able to purchase through Sourcewell without having to get, being required to get competitive bids. Sometimes we will get bids anyway. In this case, we did get multiple bids, but Craftco is a Sourcewell contract. Okay.
Do you know what the relationship is any between the Sourcewell contract and Oregon Buys?
That's a great question. That'd be a great question. I'm not positive.
Is Audrey not here? Is Audrey?
Good.
Maybe Audrey can answer that.
The Andre's online there in the lower left corner.
Audrey, if you can hear us, do you have any knowledge about the relationship between the Sourcewell contract and Oregon Buys?
I don't. I apologize, commissioners. I can look that up and get back to you after the meeting.
All right.
And Bob, Paul has 2 late.
Yeah. So I'm thinking is, you want to set this aside for a few minutes?
I don't know. I mean, I assume that that our public works director knows what a good deal on a crack sealer is.
Well, like I said, we did obtain 3 quotes
Yeah.
for it, even though we're not required to.
I'm fine with going.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
All right. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Now, down to that agenda item, whichever number this is.
I moved it
About
out.
Van Aiken Creek, yeah.
Oh.
No, those are late lakes, but these are regular lakes. These are
Lake.
regular lakes. They're late lakes or regular? Oh, no, we have to have a motion to accept all late lakes first.
Yes.
Have a motion for late lakes.
I think
Do I have a second?
second.
All right, all in favor of late lakes?
Aye.
All right, yes. Van Aiken Creek, landslide project.
So like the other two funded projects, we requested proposals from three companies, the same three that I mentioned before. The PBS, again, was unable to quote. Strata Design was at $88,305. Shannon and Wilson was $86,556. Very, very close numbers there between those two that did quote. So we're requesting approval to hire Shannon and Wilson to do this evaluation and design for the Van Aiken Creek Road milepost 0.9 landslide for $86,600, not to exceed $86,600.
Move to approve Shannon and Wilson to provide landslide mitigation and structure repair proposal on Van Aiken Creek Road, milepost 0.9 landslide, not to exceed $86,600.
I'll second that.
Discussion by the board. So
I see a hand up from Mark.
went out for bids, right?
Yeah.
Was there an RFP?
No, we didn't do that. We did informal proposals in consultation with Nat before he left the council. We did that for all three of those projects where we're looking for consulting services.
They weren't formal, so.
Nope.
Okay. Audrey, you have a hand up.
Yes, Commissioners. So I apologize, I only saw this about 10 minutes before the meeting, but my understanding is that the Coos County rules require that the department consult with my council before a contract for political services, between $50,000 and $150,000 is approved. I would just recommend that the commissioners hold off on those decisions for now until we can actually have a consultation. This contract is not something that was on the list of items that was provided to us during the Nathaniel left. So I want to make sure that there's no failure to follow the county rule on this particular item.
All righty, so I need a motion, but
I couldn't understand that.
Yeah,
she wants to hold off, is basically what you said, else you can review everything.
Is there a difference between this and the other two that we did?
The difference, Commissioner, is the amount of the contract. For personal services, estimated to fall between $50,000 and $150,000. The department is required to consult with county council to determine whether a competitive seal proposal would better benefit the county. That consultation has not happened on this contract. And so I recommend that the commissioner defer making a decision or approving this contract until that consultation has happened.
Okay, does that apply to the previous two we also did?
We did consult
No,
Nathaniel before you. We actually had a meeting.
So
on
just this
specific
line so far.
projects where council
All right.
was involved with it.
So we'll set this aside until council has a chance to review. All right. And we have another late agenda item for a 6-ton Falcon asphalt hot box.
Can we pause for 1 second? On that previous item, would the board be willing to approve it pending council approval? That way we don't have to come back to the board again, assuming council.
Let's ask council. That sounds reasonable.
Sounds reasonable. Is that possible?
Council?
Audrey? There she is.
No, actually, that's consistent with what the commissioners proceedings typically like.
I didn't understand.
Can you restate, please?
If that is consistent with the process typically followed, then yes, that would be acceptable.
Okay. So I move that we accept, I already made that motion. Our motion, so that motion, I'll amend my motion to make it dependent on council approval.
And or
Second
make-
on the motion.
and I second that.
Okay. Any more discussion?
Good idea.
Discussion in the audience. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So, 6-ton Falcon hot dogs.
So this one is a Sourcewell contract purchase through Tapping Machinery. We did do some searching around to try to find other suppliers. It was a bit of a struggle. There are some, but they're much further away. And so when we found out they had a Sourcewell contract, we went with them and got a Sourcewell price. And so we're requesting approval to purchase the new 6-ton Falcon asphalt hot box from Tapping Machinery, not to exceed $56,000.
Okay, I move we approve purchase of the new 6-ton Falcon asphalt hot box from Pape, not to exceed $56,000.
There's a second.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
So Paul, I noticed that the freight, is this thing in Eugene?
No, it is. They're actually made back east in. That was where it was quoted from. It was Tapping Machinery.
All right.
It's actually made in. I don't have it here, but I want to say Michigan.
All right, so
Maybe
this is
Midwest.
new equipment, and this is FOB supplier.
Yep.
All right.
It's got to be shipped from back east to Oregon.
I was thinking if it's coming from Eugene, would you please send somebody with a flatbed for
Yeah.
$6,700?
Yeah, we can get it. If it was in Eugene.
Right. Okay.
Any other discussion of the board? Discussion by the audience? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing the.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, back to H, request approval of tops and root of the Oregon Department of State Lands.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
This agenda item is TOPS, it's the Timber and Operation Patrol Services. We have one deputy who largely patrols some private timber agencies throughout the county. They provide about 50%, exactly 50% of cost for full-time patrol deputies. So this is just accepting that as a grant. Requesting the board approve and sign the attached contracts and agreements.
Motion.
I move we approve and sign the attached contracts and agreement.
Second.
Discussion by the board. Hearing none, discussion by the audience. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 2I, request approval to purchase heat pump units for booking area.
Yes, sir. So when the jail was built, some years ago, AC plans were eliminated to cut costs and booking. However, it gets really hot in there, especially this summer. They have to wear their vests, so we're looking to put in. It's basically just the heat pump AC units. We did get quotes on this one. We went 4 people. One said they don't do commercials, so we went 3 more. Never heard back from one, despite repeated attempts. Comfort Flow quoted $24,000 to $30,000, and Umpqua Sheet Metal came in the lowest at 15 by far. So the funding source is the equipment line item from corrections. It was budgeted. Request BOC to approve Umpqua Sheet Metal to install 2 new Dalkin 2-ton heat pump units to cool the booking area. Cost for the units and installation not to exceed $15,000.
Move to approve Umpqua Sheet Metal to install 2 new Dakin 2-ton heat pump units to cool the booking area. Cost for the units and installation not to exceed $15,000.
Second.
Okay, discussion.
Is this, the lack of the heat pumps actually could be a really nice part of the weight loss program, shouldn't it?
Absolutely. I should spend some more time up there.
Well, I wasn't making any implications like that, sure.
That's good. I'm so for it.
It's a health issue, as I understand it.
Yes.
Kind of cheap, because if they get too warm, if they dehydrate and pass out.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I don't think that will happen. All right. Any other discussion by the board? Discussion by the audience? Other giggles? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, 2J, request reclass and Robert Wilson by the county assessor.
Don't see the assessor here, so I'll just pick it up. The assessor is looking to approve reclassification of Robert Wilson from property appraiser 1 to property appraiser 2, step 1, effective today, August 1st, because Robert is performing exceedingly well, already performing the duties of appraiser 2. So I move to approve reclassification of Robert Wilson to step 1 of the property appraiser 2 position, effective today, August 1st, 2023, and sign resolution number 2307165P.
Second.
Okay, discussion? I thought, maybe I'm wrong, but they had to have a application to cover revenue and approval when they went to PA2. But I might be wrong, because it's been a long time, so.
I'm sure the assessor's on top of those details.
Oh, let's hope. Okay. Any other discussion? Discussion by the audience? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
2K, request acceptance as Rack Young Memorial Grant authorized through site plan. Oh,
Hello, Amy.
Amy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
So this grant was included in our budget. We budgeted for 4,000. However, this granting 2 years, they are granting 5,000. We're asking that the board move to accept the grant and sign.
okay, motion?
Move to accept the 2023 to 2025 Grant Young Memorial Planning Assistance Grant and authorize chair to sign.
Second.
Okay, discussion? I might say that Grant Young was my friend for many, many years until he died of pancreatic cancer within 20 days of diagnosis.
Oh, jeez.
So I'll go ahead and vote that he's gone. I've known him for like 30-some years. Did lots of things together.
Wow.
Okay. Any discussion about the board? By the audience? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I move approval of the consent calendar.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about that? Discussion by the audience? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have one late agenda item, reappoint Charlie Waterman to the planning commission.
I move to consider the late agenda item.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
Matter of approval of order 2307048C, reappointing Charlie Waterman to Buchanan Planning Commission.
I move we approve order number 2307048C.
Second.
No? Discussion of the board? Audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Commissioner reports.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Who wants to jump in?
Well, I want to go first.
Let's see. Yes, I'll go first. So it's been a event-filled last couple of weeks. Of course, I had some couple of days of vacation a couple of weeks ago. And then last week, of course, was filled with county fair, which is always a blast. It's really neat to get out there and talk to people in that environment. And it's thankfully not so hot this year, except for that Tuesday was a little rough. But a lot of good feedback from people and a lot of challenges on, of course, the forest road closures. That's always a hot topic these days, and there's still some confusion out there about that. But I just want to revisit that we've had 3 work sessions on this topic and come up with some good ideas. I do think we're going to be able to come up with a solution that will allow us to open at least some of those roads on a trial basis, fire season notwithstanding. And we are watching that because, of course, we have the lowest rainfall in the late season in a number of years. And so it's creating a little bit of a fire season situation. Let's see, we've been working a lot on the Baloney Ranch properties, been out to both of those properties a number of times, dealing with different issues, and we just filed a reporting on the retransfer of those properties yesterday back to the auspices of the county. And so we'll be looking for, we're working on an appraisal, getting an appraisal on those properties so we can put a prospective sales price on them and move forward deciding what we're going to do. I personally would love to see those properties continue to serve the types of communities that they're serving right now, which is youth transition, youth transitioning from foster care into young adulthood, most of these having very limited to no experience or knowledge about maintaining their actual independent lives. And the way I understand it is most of these clients are coming in after they've aged out of foster care. And most of these are coming from households, we all know these exist, households that are not providing foster care because of a love for humanity or kids, but for monetary reasons. And therefore, these kids don't get the kind of nurturing and protection and training that will be instructive for them for their productive, independent lives. So I'd love to see that provided on an ongoing basis in these properties. But as we all know, the county is suffering a pretty tragic revenue loss. And so selling them might be what we have to do. We'll just have to see. Let's see, moving right along. I guess actually that's where most of my time's been occupied, standard day-to-day operations here at the county. And that's about all I have to say.
Sean?
Of course, we had the fair this last week, and I want to give thanks to our fair board and all the volunteers that make the fair possible. Yeah. We have, and I want to thank also the staff from our finance office and HR officer for filling in. We had a last minute change in the fair office, and so our staff volunteered and saw it through in great order. So Megan, thank you for taking the lead on that.
Thank you, Megan.
Caroline's not here, but we thank her as well. And thank your staff on our behalf, if you would, please. I thought the big fair was a big success. It seemed as though we had a lot of people there, and I think there were some growing pains, but I'm very proud of what we did. There are 3 or 4 people I'd like to mention specifically. They have been working at the fair tirelessly, almost since the last fair, weather permitting. And these people are Dennis Herman, Keith Lewis, Gary Haga, and Wilson, Jason Wilson. I'm sure I'm missing some people, but those, yeah, they stood out. Keith worked so hard. I think it was his wife that caused him to do yard work or something more than what he did at the fair, but he had to take a day off. So can't thank him quite as much as the others. Sure. Nice going, Pam. The auction was remarkable. As usual, our citizens and our companies pull through and go way above and beyond what one would expect. One steer set a new record and went to for $37,000 and change. A rabbit went for over $7,000.
That was the case.
I think,
You forgot about the cake.
I didn't hear about the cake. Did you buy it?
What? No. They allowed only 3 bids, not 3 bids, but 3 times around. And it went for $3,000, $3,000, and $3,100 for one cake. $9,100 for a cake. It goes to the scholarship program for 4-H.
And then at the end of the auction, there were 2 young men who lost their father recently. Yeah, look at the tear. They each had a hog, and each one went in the neighborhood of $150 a pound, close to $40,000 per pig. So the generosity and care of this county was just remarkable. Joined the sheriff last evening in a meeting with a group of homeowners from the area just north of Sunset Beach, where they've been experiencing a lot of robberies or break-ins, taking property. The sheriff and Captain Sanborn did a remarkable job of communicating with the citizens out there. While we're talking about Lighthouse Beach, there's been a long running issue with access to the beach. People that were using the beach would go across with a piece of private property that had never been built upon, and the landowner, at the urging of a neighbor, closed that off, and it created quite a furor. I believe the landowner has agreed to, rather than continuing with the existing path that went through the middle of this property, which made it useless for building, agreed to provide state parks a pathway at one edge of this property, and not only provide the land, but also the landowner would put in there a trail, covers some pretty steep ground, so it's no easy task. And the state parks would take ownership of that and guarantee access to the public. We'll come back to the county, and they've asked us to have our Bassendorf people, park people, look after that, just share the duties. So I think that's going to come together. And the other thing I'd like to comment on, I know we've got a small crowd here today, but for years and years and years, we've not seen a lot of investment by businesses in the county and home builders. And I think that's changed a lot. You look around and see what's happened in Coos Bay on their waterfront, real big improvements there, converting what used to be an industrial waterfront to a commercial waterfront. That continues. The cities all seem to be making investments, most of them in their infrastructure. Rosewood Forest Products is investing $50 million in their plywood plant here in Coquille. They view it as one of their best plants. Southport Lumber Company has invested a lot of money in recent years, and they're adding now a pellet mill, and the market for their wood pellets will be Japan, so they're going to have to build a loading facility, a dry storage facility, as I understand it, and loading facility. And probably the Bandon Dunes continues to invest a lot of money in their facilities, and as well as in their facilities at the golf course, they also doing a lot of investing in housing for their employees. So we're seeing a lot of good things go on in the county. It's pretty uplifting. Well, and look across the street, what's happened here. Overlook what's happening right next door. I don't know what's going to happen to the construction trades in Coos County when you finish that building. It's going to be a big letdown. But we've got a lot of good things going on, and I think they're good projects. And of course, the port has looking at a container terminal. If that were to happen, it would be a real blessing to the county. And I'm getting a note here. The villages. Oh, the Coos Bay Village. Yeah, and that when I'm talking about the waterfront, that was what I had in mind. I did specify it. Coos Bay Village is significantly upgraded. Our I kind of call it a front yard. It's where 101 runs through the cities, and the same people that built the village are putting in some new buildings on what used to be an old tank farm. So they've done a lot of work cleaning that up, and construction looks to be underway. I see foundations going in. So kind of nice to see all this going on in our county. I think that, Travel Southern Oregon Coast, an organization funded by Bandon Dunes, sponsored a meeting of entertainment and travel writers and mountain bike riders at our bike trail. And it was very well received. The day following the writers' visit, they had an event out there. I counted 107 cars parked along our road. The county road department closed down Whiskey Run Lane, or part of it, to accommodate that. And these people come from all over. These aren't just local citizens. Most of them are, but they come from all across the United States. I think some of the writers, tourism writers, were here from Texas, Southern California, a lot from in-state, Seattle. So we're getting good coverage. That's it.
Okay. A while back, I met with our two people in our veteran service office, as well as the person from SOGO. And we talked quite a bit about various veteran things, but the big one was August 18th at Coney Village Mall. 93 is going to be the standout, if you don't know. 2 Mondays ago, the sheriff and I went up to Sugar Creek and met with Air National Guard. They're trying to improve where their comm site is, which is different than the actual where Sugar Creek is. It's down a gravel road about 2 miles east of where the actual Sugar Creek correctional was. And then I learned something. They're not going to take over the correctional department, just the other comm site. So that was interesting to know, and chat with them, look at their facility.
What does that do to our communications tower?
Our communications tower is at Sugar Creek itself. Although they had an informal verbal offer, if that didn't go into longevity for us, that we might be able to place our 911 hub at their spot. So that was a plus. It was very beneficial to talk to the captain. It was really good. And of course, Tuesday we did the fair opening. And went to the fair multiple different times. And then on Friday, it was quite an interesting event because I had called the port to go out to Nurse Pitt to meet with Senator Wyden about the container facility at 1 o'clock, which meant I then called the sheriff to stand in for me for the finalists for the pie tasting contest. And then the sheriff got called out. He had to get hold of Captain Sanborn to finally go and participate in the pie judging contest for the fair. So it was, yeah.
That was torture.
Well, it was kind of last minute. We called for the pie people to say, hey, I'm not going to be able to make it. Sheriff will be there. And, well, the sheriff's not going to be there. Captain Sanborn will be there. It was kind of a circus sort of thing. Saturday, we went to wife and I and some friends went to 4-H auction. Like John was talking about, the 2 kids who lost their father just a few days before the auction. The community was amazing. They stepped up and they raised $78,220 for those 2 kids. Their father died of a massive heart attack a few days before, and he was a contractor. So that was kind of had a tear to everybody's eye in there. It was totally packed. But before that, the whole auction, the kids did very well on all of their animals. Like John said, the rabbits, chickens, and everything else went very high. I'm talking $12, $15, $2,000 for 3 chickens. It's not about the price per pound, it's supporting our youth who are really good, upstanding citizens. And they're learning how to take care of animals and all that stuff. So it's more about support than anything else. Interesting, I went to both nights to the rodeo. I guess for my friends who were there, the highlight of the whole thing was the wild cow milking. The cowboys rope the cow, and the other one grabs the cow and tries to get at least something in the bottle. It was hilarious. Sunday went to a breakfast meeting with Senator Wyden and Representative Al Hoyle, who the primary discussion was talking about the containers facility and having it happen. Then right after that, we went out to Bessemer Beach and looked at the progress that's being made on the repair of the jetty at North Spit for the $83 or $84 million project. They will be done sometime in 25 with that project. They're not only going out in the ocean, but they're going out back to the east where the cribs are. That was interesting. I didn't know they were going back to the east part. That was interesting as well. The Coast Guard was there, the Army Corps was there, the BOM was there, the tribes were there, all kinds of support people were there, etc. So that was good. But maybe the container facility will happen. Then it went, well, John was there at the town hall that Senator Merkley and Representative Hoyle were at the Marshfield Junior High. And that was interesting, to say the least. And yesterday, we got the happy news that we have 2 failures in our county-owned gas pipeline, cost of roughly $3 million, which we're wondering where the money's going to come from, and as well as some other expenses. So I did make a call into Val Hoyle's rep, aide in Washington, and I don't know if he got a hold of, he got a hold of our roadmaster to try and figure out if there was some emergency funds in DC that we could obtain. Haven't heard back yet. So anything to report, Paul?
They're, he's gonna reach out to the USDA, road development. See if they can.
Okay. Those are the lives we're going, where's the money coming from? And it seems like we haven't formally tried it. We had some informal inquiries about purchase. And nobody wants it unless we correct about 6 problems. So, it's become really expensive. With that, we'll have citizen comments. Who wants to go first? Nobody wants to go first? How about second? Yes, sir, you're going to go second. Huh?
Good morning.
Morning.
Homeless,
Name and where you're generally.
Tom Brown from Butte Bay.
Okay, thanks.
Homeless camp, type of meeting a few weeks back. I thought I heard that the county was going to be having, or was wanting to put in a homeless camp. Or, no?
Not that I'm aware of. Nope.
We have to have a place where if someone's in undesignated part of the county, a place for them to go. We can't kick them off without that, apparently. So, but it would be short-term, one night stay, not a camp.
Oh,
As
This is what requires
for homeless to,
well, I think we're obligated by law to find a spot. We're still
The county
looking.
is.
Yeah.
the state passed House Bill 3115, which obligates us to establish a public camping ordinance that would direct law enforcement on how to handle, unauthorized campers. And so we've had a number of work sessions on that and developing out that policy. Every municipality in the state has had to do that.
but they can't just come camp on private lands.
No.
Oh, no, it would have to be.
Yeah.
Unless you have some land you'd like to volunteer.
Well, volunteers land, it's not long. I'm not sure whose it is, but it's just outside the city limits. It's full wireless. I mean, if you were going to have a place for them to go, that would be the place.
Our concern has been that the cities will have these ordinances and that it's going to drive people to the counties. We need to find a spot.
Oh yeah, we got one out by us now. Just moved in last night on private property that's clearly marked. On it's less sanitation property. There at the end of Red Dye. It's clearly marked, and they just set up.
Yeah.
I mean, they have almost every day they come park there and they come patrol our neighborhoods, casing our neighborhoods. I've got cameras, I see them all the time. So that's how I know there's somebody parked down here that they go by and they're chasing our neighborhood. But, usually the sheriff's come and mark them and shoo them off. But if they're on this private property that's marked, then for some reason the sheriff supposedly can't do nothing unless the owner of the property.
That's right.
So I guess we gotta get on to the owner of the property.
That's right.
And then channel. So,
They did call 4 different people in Lakeside. There was a rumor floating around that the county was going to have a homeless camp east out of North Lake Road, east of Lakeside, which was unfounded. True. It got started and had to go put out fires. So as far as any other camp,
I had another question. Is this meeting I went to, it seems like they're trying to establish a place for a homeless rehabilitation or something. Is that what you would call it?
I think what they're, a big part of homelessness has to do with mental issues.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the only one, but I think that's what they were talking about, having
It seems like,
care and a facility in which to provide the care.
seems like it's going to be another government organization type of thing. They're going to end up with their own budget. I mean, I'm just wondering, is it just going to be for local homeless people, or will it be for all homeless? Or my main concern, illegals will be able to utilize it. That's something.
I don't know the answer to that.
I know
don't
this
know.
big city.
We have a lot of.
They're going to have to be shoving them off somewhere. I'm trying to figure out how they're going to be incorporating them into our little communities.
I think we're all trying to figure that out. It's a tough one. They're going to be here.
Oh yeah.
Well, we're certainly seeing larger influxes of people into Bandon specifically is where I notice it. There are new people arriving with regularity who show up and they're panhandling or whatever, roaming around town, and the numbers seem to keep climbing. So that would indicate that, there's some impetus that's driving them into the county. And I think the same things are happening in the Coos Bay, North Bend areas. I don't know about Coquille.
I imagine it's happening everywhere.
It's harder.
Where I hear from them, it seems to be happening.
But the, illegal immigrants question, utilizing facilities that are it's tough. I don't know about that. I don't know if there's a protocol or a standard by which to verify citizenship for administering that kind of aid. Frankly, I don't know if that's what we want to do either, but we also don't want to provide, housing for people who shouldn't even be here legally.
Well,
On the back
take away from our people that actually need the help, I think.
Right.
Which is going to take a lot of our resources, I think, from what I've seen.
Right.
Just trying to rehabilitate or take care of these people.
But then from a pure humanitarian standpoint, you've got a rogue runaway administration in Washington, D.C. that's allowing those border crossings to happen willy-nilly with no oversight. And now you've got human beings that are, in trouble here, right?
Not all of them bad. Just like
Not all of them bad.
homeless, not all of them are bad. But
That's right.
There's enough bad ones that ruin it for everybody.
That's true too.
A lot of them just want a better life.
Yeah.
They saw an opportunity.
Can't blame them for that. It's wrong. Coming here legally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was just wondering about the homeless or the illegals incorporating using our resources for our homeless, basically. Is what I was thinking. Something to think about.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All righty, we are adjourned. Oh, you? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, online.
Hi. Good morning, Chair Main, Commissioner Sweet, and Commissioner Sweetney Taylor. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yes.
Great. My name is Sunny Mehta, and I am working with Health Justice Recovery Alliance. We're a statewide organization that's making sure that Measure 110 is implemented the way the voters intended it. And I'm here to give you a brief update on Measure 110 and how the law is unfolding in your county. It's an exciting time for Measure 110. 2023 is the year that Measure 110 is finally getting on firm footing. Recent data released in June by the Oregon Health Authority has shown that there's been a dramatic increase in the number of people receiving addiction services funded by Measure 110. Lives are being saved, families are becoming more stable, and communities in every county in Oregon, including in Coos, have access to new services that were not available before. We're just starting to see the progress in addressing the root causes of addiction, and at the same time, taking concrete steps to improve the law and make sure it works for Oregon. Just this last June, the legislature passed a bipartisan bill, House Bill 2513, the Hope and Recovery Act, which the governor has signed the bill into law. And it matters because it not only keeps our state's commitment to increase the availability of free local services for people struggling with substance use, but also it provides increased oversight and accountability, more timely distribution of funding, and redoubling the implementation of proven public health approaches to addiction services and treatment to make Measure 110 more effective, transparent, and accountable. Last month, the Oregon Health Authority also released a new report that showed that substance use housing services provided for Measure 110 increased by more than 125%, and supportive employment services increased by 136%. Addiction is not a crime, it's an illness, and it's time to treat it as such. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this critical issue in your community. If you're interested in hearing more about the program and how it's expanding vital services in your community, we'd be happy to return and give a more formal presentation, joined by local providers in Coos County of the services, who can speak to how the increased funding is enabling them to expand current programs on new ones, serve more Coos County residents, and ultimately save more lives. We'd be able to also facilitate tours of local provider facilities, so you can see for yourself the great work that's taking place in the ground. Thank you for the time, and I wish I was, it's been a few years since I've been down to Coos County, but I'm pretty jealous hearing about the fair, and got pretty hungry hearing about that cake.
Well, I wouldn't mind having him come down and make a presentation. I don't have statistics, but a casual observation would tell me that drug use has gone up a lot more in this county than has drug treatment.
Yeah.
And so I'd be very pleased to know more about that, because what I'm seeing is that 110 is not working, Sonny, and I have deep concerns about it. So I need to learn more, because what you're telling me and what I'm seeing are two different things. So please come down. We'd like to have a presentation.
Absolutely. I got to say, I don't think I've heard a more polishing statement put on a pile of pig crap than what I just heard. Because I got to tell you, Mr. Mehta, what I've seen is an absolute disaster from Measure 110. It was lied about from the beginning. It was lied about all the way through the campaign. I'm not even sure that it actually passed in a legitimate electoral process. And what we've seen is an absolute disaster socially in every community in the state. And, it's interesting that you quote percentages, but you don't quote actual numbers. So if you're inclined, as Commissioner Sweet suggested, to come down here and present what you have in actual numbers face to face and try to convince us otherwise, then that's, of course, you're right, and we'll welcome you for that. But I gotta tell you, I am extremely skeptical, beyond skeptical, and I think this Measure 110 has been poison, a disaster, a travesty, all the way through for the entire state. And I intend to do everything in my power to repeal it, advocate compliance with it, and stick it right back in Salem's eye, because it's a piece of garbage.
Rod, you need to make yourself a little more clear from time to time.
Yeah, I know. I'm a little circumspect.
Actually, I agree with.
Try to read between my lines.
It'd be good to find out more, but from what I know, and being the liaison to all the law enforcement general things, that there's no difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
It is ridiculous. The sheriff wants to come and talk about it too.
Oh, good. Here we come.
Thank you for that feedback, and yeah, we'd be happy to set up a presentation and come on down. And I'll plan on sending a follow-up email to all of you. Again, thank you for your time. Thank you for not mincing your words, Commissioner Taylor.
The sheriff has some comments, Mr. Mehta.
I think the commissioner.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I was just hoping to speak to you. Normally I don't. It's honestly not going to be terribly productive, but we talk about percentages. In law enforcement, we teach that we can't create exigent circumstances and then fix them. We can't cause a fight that would cause us to shoot somebody and then say it's self-defense. And that's kind of what this is. 110 created emergencies. We want to talk about percentages. There's at least a 17% increase in OD deaths throughout the state. So I'm totally on board with getting this thing repealed too. However, I would be very interested to see what kind of increase in services and dollar amounts can do to the county and where they're going. Honestly, I'd love to help with that. I agree that addicts are addicted. They're not the people on that, it's the dealers. It's the policies that allow dealers to deal 2.5 grams into low without repercussions. So if you could go down, it would be a civil discussion. I'd really like to hear where that stuff's going as well, where the resources are going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sheriff.
Yeah, and I just might add that there was a couple other laws that are sitting on the governor's desk to sign that was passed with bipartisan support to increase penalties and change dealing amounts and for fentanyl and other dangerous drugs. And so, yeah, I'll send a follow-up email. I thank you for your time, and looking forward to coming on down.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all.